All right, here is everything you need to know about crypto airdrops today. I've got a bunch of alpha, so this is going to be a pretty jam-packed video. Now let's start out with some good news, which is that it looks like the Ethereum ETFs are going to be approved next week on Tuesday, or they're going to be approved this week and actually launch next week. And the reason why this is actually potentially bullish for airdrops is that a lot of projects have either been explicitly delaying their airdrops or just kind of dragging their feet because they want to wait until there's better market conditions to drop the token. And if this ETH ETF has the same sort of impact that the Bitcoin ETF had, then we could see actually a turn in the market sentiment and potentially some more airdrops coming through. And when we do get tokens dropped to us, of course, we want them to be dropped at higher valuations so we can get a better price for all that farming that we put in. So that is the good news. Now, in terms of some bad news, there is actually a hack this morning that you need to be aware of, which is that Jumper Exchange or the Li-Fi protocol had a couple of issues with these contracts. So if you have ever set unlimited approvals for a token swap on Jumper, you should definitely go check to see if you've approved these tokens. There's a link here to Revoke Cash, and Revoke Cash actually has specifically created a link to see if you were affected. It's looking like somewhere around $10 million were stolen. However, this really only affected people that manually set unlimited token approvals on Li-Fi. So if you were impacted by this hack in any way, I'm sorry that this happened. It's looking like the Li-Fi team is going to hopefully do what they can to make people whole, and we'll see what happens out of this. At best case scenario, I would say that this is delaying the Li-Fi or the Jumper airdrop by at least months at this point. And then on top of that, just yesterday, there was an issue with Mintrest, which is a DeFi application on the Mantle L2, where wrapped ETH and Mantle ETH that were deposited into this money market were potentially stolen by a hacker. So they are also working to plug the gaps and to make users whole. So these two issues here really highlight the fact that there are major risks in these sorts of airdrop farming activities that we're doing, even with things like a bridge where you wouldn't necessarily think it's at risk because you're not lending your money there, you're not actually making a deposit, you're just sending it from one place to another. But you could actually still experience risk like this. And of course, when you actually give your tokens to a platform like Mintrest, there is definitely smart contract risk there as well. So this is a good reminder to all airdrop farmers to keep an eye on what websites or apps you've connected your wallets to keep an eye on your approvals, your token approvals, and definitely use apps like Revoke.cash, or if you use a Rabby wallet, you can actually revoke approvals natively within that wallet to make sure that you don't have any capital at risk. All right, with that warning out of the way, let's talk about some of the big news from today. So for starters, if you farmed the Sanctum airdrop to get the Cloud token, you can now go and check your allocation via this link right here. So this is broken up into two separate portions. The first part is for actually farming experience points in the Wonderland application by holding LSTs. And then the second part is for this thing called earnestness, which is where the Sanctum team decided to give out a very sizable allocation to people that either engaged in their Discord or were active on Twitter or other social media platforms talking about the Sanctum application and sharing information about it. And so that is why I have an allocation for both, because I farmed the Sanctum airdrop with my Liquid Stake Soul and I did create some content on this. Now, in terms of when the token is actually claimable, it's going to be on Thursday, July 18th. And this is actually representing 50% of the total claimable amount that you would get in either of these two buckets. So as they said here, there is a vesting schedule. So on day one, you can actually claim whatever amount is shown right there. But according to their vesting schedule, if you wait 14 days, you'll get 100% of the capital airdrop. And if you wait 180 days, or about 6 months, I guess, you'll get 100% bonus for the earnestness airdrop. So you can choose whether or not you want to claim it on day one, or if you want to wait for the vesting period to run out, in which case you would be able to claim a significantly larger amount. Now, let's talk about some of the issues with this airdrop, because of course there are some, and I want to address them. And really the big thing, what it boils down to, is the earnestness is going to a very, very small number of users. So as we can see from this chart right here, there is basically just over 2,000 users, 2,100, 2,200, something like that, that are getting this airdrop for earnestness, which is 5% of the total token supply. And so that is why you can see some people are getting massive, massive allocations. So for example, I saw on Twitter this morning that Cruise Control is getting 175,000 in round one, which means that he qualified for the second bucket here of 350K total tokens. So that is obviously a massive, massive allocation. and congrats to everyone that got them. However, the issue is with the 5% allocation being given to 2,000 wallets or so, that it is a pretty unequal situation. I think that's what a lot of people are upset about, is the number of tokens, the sheer size of the airdrop that is allocated towards this portion of it. I don't think anyone's mad that they decided to do this, but that they gave so much to it. And when you combine that with the fact that the capital portion of it was completely linear, directly in proportion to the number of experience points that you had, well, that is why we get the situation that we have now. So even if you farmed this airdrop with, 30 SOL, 40 SOL, 50 SOL, you probably would not have gotten that much. Really what it boiled down to is you needed to be interacting on social media or you needed to have a huge pile of capital. Anyways, let's move on now to another piece of alpha, and this is something that you can do now to qualify for the scroll airdrop, which is one of the few remaining Ethereum L2s that I think has serious potential. So they just launched this new scroll canvas where you have to first mint your heartbeat or your activity heartbeat NFT, and you can actually get a discount from minting this if you use the code that I put down below. And then once you have minted it, they have these various badges that you can get in order to actually increase the points, I guess, that will be attached to this canvas NFT. So you can check out the badges here and see what it takes to qualify for them. Some of them you'll need actually a decent amount of capital in order to get. For example, here you need to provide LP of $1,000 on ambient finance. But yeah, there's quite a few different options here, and you should mint as many badges as you can once you've actually gotten the actual base NFT. So all the badges kind of fill in around it, and this will undoubtedly have some sort of relevance to the scroll airdrop campaign. I guess this is how they're trying to incentivize activity, because their scroll marks are really based on TVL and liquidity. All right, moving on now. If you qualified for EtherFi Season 2, the claims are going to be going live tomorrow on July 17th. So we'll be able to finally get those tokens. Okay, next, the Mint Chain has launched this new expedition page where basically you can qualify for the airdrop by doing one of three things, or you can do all three if you want to. The first one is to buy a Mint ID. Now, I've never actually recommended this because it is kind of expensive at 0.28 ETH right now, and I'm not 100% sold on whether or not that's gonna have a solid ROI. The second thing that you can do, and this is what I've talked about a little bit on the channel here, is that you can get your green ID and your Mint ID and your Mint tree for free, and you can collect points and steal other people's points. So this is a free activity that you can do. It takes 30 seconds every day just to collect the points. So I would say that's probably worth doing. And then now they have this new expedition dashboard down here where you can get points by doing all these different things. So if we scroll down, you can see all these different tasks. You can mint some NFTs, bridge to the chain, you can buy a .mint domain name. So there's a bunch of different stuff in here that you can experiment with if you want to qualify for the airdrop using this method. And so if you do all three, you're guaranteed to get something, and you can choose which one you want to focus on. Okay, next up, if you qualified for the second airdrop of Parcel tokens, the vesting has begun. So if you go to the claims page for Parcel, you'll be able to see how many tokens you've got vesting, and over time, the amount just gradually ticks up until you reach the end point of the vesting. So right now, I'm in vesting schedule 1 because I staked a bunch of Parcel tokens, and so this will be completely vested on September 29th this year. If you didn't stake Parcel tokens, or if you staked less, then you will have to wait longer in order to get your full allocation. So this is going on now. You can come back and claim periodically if you feel like doing it that way. Okay, next up, if you're farming Mansel's new Metamorphosis campaign, the new way that you can qualify for a share of that is by locking up or staking MNT tokens. So they've dropped this in the Mantle reward station now. And basically all you have to do is go here, select how much you want to stake and how long you want to lock it up for, and then you'll get more points or more cook based on the length of your lock. Now this is a completely linear process relative to the other users that have made deposits. So if you have a stack of MNT tokens sitting around that you don't want to sell, this is definitely a productive use for them. But if you're planning on potentially buying MNT to participate in this, I would not necessarily advise that. I feel like the ROI might be better on buying METH or METH and then using that to farm cook, but that's just my approach. Okay, next up, an interesting announcement from Elixir. It looks like they are going to be providing liquidity for DYDX, which is one of the biggest and most popular perp dexes. So this is potentially bullish news. And remember, the Elixir airdrop actually does have a countdown, a timeline specifically associated with it, which is actually less than a month away, in 29 days, 6 hours, and 18 minutes. Okay, next, if you are a bonk holder and staker or lock whore, then you can actually qualify for some Manta tokens on the Manta network. So if you locked more than 1 million bonk tokens before July 11th and you have an active Manta wallet, you can actually claim some rewards for that. So you should check here if you actually qualify for both of those two things. Next up, if you farm the Ancient 8 airdrop, you can check to see if you are eligible for this one. I didn't farm it, so I'm not eligible, but if you did, the checker is now live. Okay, moving on now. The Plume network has finally opened up to all users, so there's no more actual gated access, and you can go and start farming this one if you're looking for a new testnet to farm. Now, I was thinking about making a tutorial for this one. Let me know if you think that it would actually be helpful or necessary, but basically there's a few different things that you can do. There's a daily check-in, there's a faucet that you can come back to every 24 hours to collect more tokens. And then there's different tasks that you can get in order to actually earn points or air miles for this. So I've done a few of them. I haven't completed every single one yet, but the more you do, the more air miles you get and the better off you'll be for this testnet airdrop. Okay, next, if you are waiting for the Ironclad Finance airdrop, it's going to be happening in a couple of days, but they've actually already launched the token and seeded liquidity on the Velodrome DEX. So there is a pool right now of ICL and mode tokens with over $400,000 in liquidity. Currently, each ICL token is trading for around 26 cents. After the airdrop, I expect that's probably going to dump pretty quickly. Right now, there's only 14 holders, so, not a very big distribution list there. But this is super, super under the radar for sure. Anyways, you can use this, I guess, as a rough estimate for how much you're gonna get based on the airdrop allocations, which they released a couple of weeks ago. But of course, it all depends on whether or not you wanna be first through the gate to actually claim and sell, or if you like this project for the long run. I'll leave that up to you. Okay, just a couple more quick things. There's one final task for Mantra Chain Season 1, where they want you to actually go connect Cosmos and EVM wallets. So I do recommend doing this final task here on Galaxy if you've been following along with Mantra up until this point. And then next, there is a new set of task, quests, or campaign, whatever, from Al2 Finance. They're calling it Amazing Summer. Now, at this point, honestly, I'm not super, super bullish on the Al2 Finance airdrop itself, but totally up to you if you think these are worth doing. Oh, and actually one final thing is that if you were farming Kinto, you can now claim your K mining rewards. So you can check that out in the portfolio page or the account page, and then click on the claim button. So hopefully you found today's airdrop alpha useful. And if you want to see actually some exclusive content, I've got a full tutorial on how I'm farming Cook on my Patreon page. And later this week, or potentially early next week, I'm also going to be dropping a full updated guide on how I'm farming the Solana ecosystem with various different strategies. So thanks so much for watching and have yourself a great day.